In our first episode, the prequel. Shows are recorded and available on YouTube, Facebook, Spotify, iTunes, and other aggregators. A keyword searchable index is at iriscarter.com/EOI directory. Share ideas and comments in the program chat or by email. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share our show. Let us know you're here by typing your hello in the comments because we are thrilled to welcome you as we begin another adventure right now. Hello.
We made it.
Yes.
Getting here tonight was a mad scramble for us in two different ways, but we made it.
Yes. So our apologies. We started just a couple of minutes late for you live viewers, but appreciate you sticking by us.
Yeah.
And do be sure to comment because we can't tell who's watching from our end because we're not looking at the Facebook page or the YouTube page. So we need you to say that you're here and give us a hello or a whatever you want. Yeah.
Absolutely. So for those of you in the future as well that are maybe doing audio, hi, my name is Margot, and the other person you're hearing is Iris Carter, and she is our producer as well as co-host with me on the show tonight and every week. and
You know, I know, like on just interesting on our YouTube channel. I was noticing, I mean, we do have like a couple of extra, like where we did like a little short ad or something like that. So the number's not exact, but there's like 144 shows. You know, we've been doing this 3 years now.
Oh, that's right. We're coming up on an anniversary, aren't we?
Yes.
100, more than 100. You said 144?
Yeah.
That's a magic number. It's a dozen. Hi, Zachary. Thanks for typing hello and letting us know you're here.
Yes. Hey, Zach. Good to see you.
We appreciate you. Yeah. And so, we're coming up on 3 years. Gee, Iris, I guess we'll have to come up with a way to celebrate that. We have ideas brewing for a way to do that. And we'll let you know more as we do research later this year. We'll put out more information about what I am cryptically talking about.
Yeah.
So welcome to the show. If you are brand new with us tonight, hi, you're very welcome. Please feel free, like Iris said, to type hello, namaste, howdy, whatever you want. And tonight's topic, though, is a little bit unusual, but nowadays it's not so unusual. Normally we talk about coping mechanisms and tools and methodologies and philosophies, and we also do a lot of reveal type stuff about what else is out there beyond what's right in front of our eyes as Earth and society and humans are all changing a lot and getting weirder and weirder and weirder. So we're trying to help.
And we get weirder and weirder and weirder.
Absolutely, we do. And it occurred to us to create tonight's topic. So, Iris, where are we going tonight?
Tonight, we are going to talk about pod people, but not in the sense of aliens and that sort of thing. Oh, not directly anyway.
I was going to say, we'll see. But anyway.
Yeah, it was catchy for a title of one of our shows. And but what we're going to talk about is the top information sources that we have found over the years that, you know, we always encourage everybody to do your own research, but maybe you don't know how or know where to go or who to trust or who not to trust. So we're going to talk a little bit about how to do your research, where to do your research, and who some other people are that you might be interested in learning more about or looking into, or that you'll recognize as we talk about them on our own show. And a few of them on our list have been guests of ours too. So that makes, you know, of course we're going to put them on our list. So
absolutely.
Anyway, yeah. So So that's what we're going to talk about. And I think one of the first things we need to tell people is you can't use Google for this type of research. When you're searching the weird and unusual, um, Google is very
Biased
yeah, biased. Yeah, and
and
it's
censored.
interesting. It's interesting because I was going to say Google is very conservative, and but yet they're conservative in the information they provide. They're not conservative in politics and that kind of stuff.
Ironically, people who are liberal are actually the most conservative. Hi, Heather. Are the
Yeah,
most conservative in their in that description. So there's an irony and a twist of
of
meaning
word
there, which
choices.
is a
Yeah,
common theme in the deception, as they call it,
yeah,
is to double face something and have an opposite meaning. That's not
that is
unusual.
blew my mind. Yeah, coming,
Yeah,
but yeah, go
Google is
to
highly censored and highly edited. So, Iris, where else can people go for general information instead of Google?
Duck Duck Go. DuckDuckGo, like Duck Duck Goose, but it's Duck Duck Go.
Absolutely. There are probably a few others out there right now too, but DuckDuckGo seems to be the most. It's the most like Google, and it's very similar, and you'll get a lot better results in your searches, which we
Yes.
strongly encourage. Always do your own searches uh, and swim at your own risk. Hi, Allison.
Yeah.
Good to see you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Because it's and then as you look for information, I mean, I used to teach students about doing internet search for research for term papers and things like that. And I would say, go to the page and look at the about us. Who are they? Where do they come from? What makes them legitimate or not legitimate?
Credentials.
Um, yeah, and who are they connected with? What experience do they have? What's the background? And the same applies for doing the kind of research on the topics we discuss.
Can I
Um,
throw in? Can I throw
yeah.
in one more filter? Who is financing that person,
Mm-hmm.
that website? Who is supplying the money to that person's income or that website, that corporation, that group's income? Where does their money come from? Because that is a huge influence on how much they will or will not share. Yeah, or
Yes.
tell or teach or whatever. Yeah. The more independent they are, the higher probability for authenticity.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a
Um,
rule of thumb. It's a rule of thumb. Yeah.
yes. Hi, Rosemary. Good to see you too.
Rosemary.
Yay.
Yay.
So, yeah, and then don't and another way is to when you look up somebody, who are they talking about? That'll expand your horizon. I mean, we're going to suggest some people that you look into, um, but sometimes they'll have. It's like a lot of teachers used to tell students, you can't use Wikipedia, you can't trust Wikipedia, but Wikipedia actually they did the research and it was more accurate than Encyclopedia Britannica. And the way you can tell if Wikipedia is accurate or not is by the references that they give at the bottom, and follow those references and see where they go and what their sources are. So yeah, and if you're finding like sources are going circular, like this one's copying from that one that's copying from the one before it, and it's going in a circle, they're less reliable. If they're pulling from multiple sources, then you're going, okay, that makes more sense. um I heard a tidbit today, indirectly, directly related. It was fascinating. They said that some documents came out or reveal or whatever that back right after Elon Musk took over Twitter, the government, Department of Justice, or one of them, asked for Donald Trump's Twitter records from, because right after Twitter had brought him back, they wanted his records, and they refused, and wouldn't give it to them. And because they suspected that there was something illegal going on that those records would have shown them, they fined Twitter $350,000.
Wow.
And I thought, how do you fine somebody for something that you can't prove and that you
Yeah,
have no legal
they're pro-
justification for getting?
they're probably trying to put it under obstruction of justice, and that would probably be the only way that they could fly that flag. But I am pretty sure Twitter has a whole cadre, a whole barn full of attorneys.
Yeah.
That will chew that shit to pieces about private property you cannot demand.
But that's another thing you got to think about, the websites that you go to and how they're maintaining their authenticity
and their
and their
security.
security. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, which is a part of security, really. Yeah.
Yeah. So just stuff to keep in mind. If somebody's readily coughing up whatever anybody asks for, then you kind of go,
So we're talking about different levels of discernment. And what I've noticed here, Iris, is that we haven't actually said what it is we're talking about.
I know. That's the mystery.
We're
Okay.
and I mentioned it in the blurb. We're basically talking about doing research about conspiracy and all the popular conspiracy ideas and accusations and stances that are related to it, plus not just conspiracy, but also the shifting that's going on, not only on social levels, but also spiritual, cosmic, and beyond. Okay, inside and outside each of us humans. So this is very much socio-political as well as socio-spiritual. But we're talking about conspiracy theories and the people that seem to have inside information through various sources that have held up over credibility over time. And to give you a little bit of a yardstick, what do I mean by over time? Iris and I have been following, listening, picking apart, analyzing, co-analyzing with other friends of ours who are probably listening but not typing at the moment. Know who you are. We have been analyzing and picking apart these, let's call them truthers. All right, because their goal is to reveal the truth. So they're typically called either patriots or truthers or something like that. All right, so those are some of the generic terms you'll hear. And Iris and I have been listening, following, researching different speakers, truthers, patriots, and professionals since about 2020. But some of our friends who have been doing this have been doing it for decades, because a lot of these speakers have actually been speaking since the 1990s, and some of them, like David Icke, ICKE, if you want to write that down, has been doing this for like 30 plus years, just as one example. So when we say that have held up, yeah, add them to the list. So when we say credible over time, we are speaking about our own experience over the last 3 years that refers to over years and years prior to that as well. And sidebar, a little bit of a hook into the future, some of them have fallen by the wayside and we have been disenchanted with them when we used to be supporters of them. So
we'll talk about them too.
We're going to talk about them too. And we're going to talk about our journey through that as well. Not to famous quote that I give all my Reiki master students, and it's written on their certificate: we want to show you the light, but not tell you what to see. That is your choice. That is your free will. Now, Iris, after the show, we have a whole bunch of links, a whole bunch of websites that I'm sure that would be really beneficial for you guys to have as we talk about this and after the show. So Iris, can you tell them about what you're going to post in a couple of days on Facebook, Eyes of
Yeah,
Indigo?
probably. Well, hopefully right after the show, I will. As we go, I will put links in the comments, but then at the end, well, actually, I can go back in the descriptions on both YouTube and Facebook. I can go back in the descriptions and just list all the links with the information that we're sharing.
Okay, so on our YouTube page and on our Facebook page, a list of all the website links that we're going to refer to will be there.
And I'll put it in my blog too on my website.
There you go. There you go. iriscarter.com. Yep.
Yeah. And say hello to Heidi. Oh, look at her on
Hi,
Saturn.
Heidi.
Isn't that cute? Her little
Home sweet home for Heidi.
Okay. So
I've heard some reveals about Saturn and its rings lately too from Tony Rodriguez, who is on the list.
Yes.
But we'll talk about that in a minute.
Okay. So one of the websites that we go to a lot is Rumble. And I've just pulled up the page just to kind of show y'all what it looks like. They've got news, sports, all kinds of stuff. And you can look under different categories for information. They've got featured people, your picks, your feeds. So you can pick your topics up the top, or you can do a search. And
it's very similar to YouTube. It's very similar to YouTube. Yeah.
And I thought I had an about Rumble information, but I don't think I copied it. But they're trying to avoid censorship is the whole purpose of Rumble. So,
which is what you want, guys. You want your information unedited by other people so that you can decide for yourself.
Yes. So that's one site. And then Gaia.com. And
plethora of information on that one.
Yeah, you can tell them more about that because there's paid part of it and an unpaid.
Correct. The membership is $199 a year, entirely worth it. My husband has that, and essentially Gaia has speakers, series, shows, interviews of everybody who's anybody in the metaphysical world, in the scientific world, and a little bit in the political world, past, present, and future. Gaia specializes in giving these people another platform to tell their stories, to show their pictures, to show their evidence, and even convey their teachings. And it's done like storytelling. It's done like interviews. So it's very user friendly. And it's got some really interesting things, like George Norrie is one of those that are on there. Another person we're going to talk to is a regular on there is Mateus DeStefano. David Wilcock used to be a big person on their channel, but they had a falling out, and he's no longer on there as far as I know. Things change every few weeks. And you know what, Iris? We need to probably do a show about coping with this on again, off again that is actually very deterring from doing research.
Yeah.
Guys, you got to stick with it anyway. You got to overcome the aggravation of things starting up. You start investing and suddenly, boom, you find out something that shuts it down. Or they shut themselves down and they suddenly disappear. It's another thing that happens. Don't get emotionally attached to your research. Do not avoid, that's a better way to say it. Avoid getting attached to your research as you go forward, because we guarantee you're going to get triggered a lot and frequently. So baby steps, and avoid getting emotionally attached to the information you find out. Okay. There's a time and a place for that, but while you're researching, it's used against you to shut you down and make you stop researching. Don't fall for that.
And I think too, remember, when you get triggered, sometimes you're triggered because of the cognitive dissonance. You're going to hear stuff as you're looking things up, and you're going to go, "Oh, that's a bunch of bullshit," and I just don't believe it. You're going to start having that inner conversation. Look at it, analyze it, and make your decisions with an open mind. Or just let that information sit for a while and come back to it later and see if you've learned more that helps you connect to it. And if it doesn't resonate with you, it doesn't resonate with you, and just let it be. You don't have to
just set it aside.
Yeah,
you don't have to.
it might
you
not,
don't have to slam it,
because sometimes we're not ready for the information that we learn, and
think back
that's
in
a
all
trip.
your think back in your life how many times information came to you and you were not ready to hear it right then, but later on it became very, very significant. If you're not sure with what cognitive dissonance is, please look it up. DISSONANCE, somewhere in there. Cognitive dissonance.
And it's also on
It's
iriscarter.com/EOI directory. You can look it up, and we've talked about it.
We've done a show on it. Guys, basically, it's a psychological defense mechanism, and it comes up when your version of reality is being challenged, which makes you feel like you have to defend yourself. You're like, wait, whoa, that's a lie. That can't be true. I've always heard blah, blah, blah. And you're going to find out what you've always heard was the source of the problem, is what you almost always find out. So notice your own cognitive dissonance and be gentle, be nice to yourself, and baby step your way through it. Okay. And you might come to the same conclusion anyway. You might come out with a whole new idea, and a whole new door, a whole new window might open for you. And that's what being triggered means. Thank you, Iris. I'm glad you brought up cognitive.
Okay, so another website is Truth Social. I am just showing the page here, and I'm going to send the link. But basically, it's a social media platform, and when you look at it, you can tell it's similar to Facebook. And it's be able to express yourself and find truth.
Without censorship.
Right. Honest global conversation without discriminating on the basis of political ideology. So that's another one that, yeah. And
Rosemary says that she loves Gaia too. Sometimes people don't give Truth Social a chance because of who founded it.
Who did find it? I forgot.
The famous Orange Man.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, we're trying to learn not to say certain words. The famous Orange Man founded it because he's obviously trying to get away from media censorship. However, so Truth Social it's not about just him. It's not about just him. It's about everything. People take it all over the place. And yeah, if you have reservations or distaste for the Orange Man, that's okay. Truth Social is still super beneficial to you because it covers thousands of other topics that don't need to be censored and that you still need to have in your awareness eventually. Yeah.
Here's a perfect example. My sister was moving to Baton Rouge. This was probably 30 years ago, or close to it, 25 years or so ago. And her children were small and in school. And she and her husband were touring some of the schools, the public schools and the private schools, trying to decide where they were going to put their children in. And they went to this one school, and they knew that it was a religious-based private school, but didn't know much about it other than some people recommended they go check it out. So they're walking down the halls, and they're touring, and they said, "So who sponsors this church?" And the guy who was leading them kind of paused a minute, and he said, "Jimmy Swaggart Ministries." And that was right after Jimmy Swaggart had that big announcement about he had been with prostitutes and stuff like that. And
Expose.
both my sister, yeah, and my sister and her husband both kind of looked at the guy and he goes, "Well, it's not like he's roaming the halls or anything."
What else can you say in an awkward conversation like that?
So Truth Social is kind of the same thing with our orange guy. It's not like he's roaming the halls or anything.
Yeah, he's not going to reply. You're not required. You're not required to follow his articles. You don't have to do that. Which is what's cool about Truth Social is you're not required to do anything. You can go where you want to, and you're not going to be soft banned and soft shadowed and all this other stuff like FB likes to do.
Yes.
And I got plenty to say about that, but we all know how I feel about censorship. So moving on, that's another resource for you.
Yeah.
And Iris Hoot, and we have a list of people
yes.
that she and I have, Iris and I and our friends have enjoyed listening to and sharing and growing from. There are more, way more than what we're naming. As we go, if you guys get inspired to share a Patriots or a Truthers or a researcher's name or information, please type it in the chat. And I'm sure everyone else here that's listening would also enjoy the expansion of awareness. So, and anytime during the show, feel free to type that in there. So we do have, though, a specific list, and we want to talk about each person a little bit in terms of their credentials and our experience of it. Iris, which one do we start with?
Oh, let's see. Let's start with some of the information people, and then we'll go to the woo-woo people. How's that?
We need a wheel of fortune and spin and see who we're going to talk to.
I'm thinking let's talk about Gene Decode for a minute.
Thank you. He's my favorite.
Yeah.
I've had different favorites, but right now he's my favorite. Yeah.
And I'm putting him in the comments, his website. He's and just to kind of give you a little bit of background, he's a 20-year veteran. I pulled this from his bio. He's a 20-plus year veteran of the U.S. Navy submarine fleet. He's a 40-plus year martial arts instructor, sensei, as well as a lifelong student and practitioner of naturopathic medicine. He's dedicated most of his life to investigation and research of information pertaining to all things spiritual, health, physical, mental, and emotional, social, political, and metaphysical. He was born with skilled remote viewing and psychic abilities that have steered his life. So, Gene Decode, and that is a moniker, not a...
That's not his real name. Yeah, they constantly try to kill him. He's got stories out the wazoo. You can, he too has a website that is an information website that has both a free element to it and a membership element to it. Membership to, and it's called Deep Dives, because remember, submarine guy. So he's got surface information and he's got deep dive, paid membership information. And he has a bunch of whales, dolphins, water imagery, also deep space and cool stuff like that. Imagery on his sites, beautiful music. He has very sophisticated people with very sophisticated talents running his website. And the fee is $7 a month or $77 a year. So that's 1 month free. But you can try it for free for 3 days. So he's got a 3-day free trial period that you can go check out and see if this website meets your needs for 3 days before you invest. And by the way, he's got one of the lowest fees going. That's one of the cheaper ones that's out there. And like I said, he has free information. Plus, he does interviews on other researchers and truthers and patriots websites as well as his own stuff. And I've yet seen a subject that he was not an absolute authority on, but the way he presents is very, very humble, He's not dictatorial or authoritative at all. He's just very matter of fact, very genuine energy. By the way, he's also a goofball. He's also a big dork. He has a weird laugh, and I mean weird laugh. Bullfrogs would move away from him. He makes a weird noise when he laughs, and nobody has seen his face. All his picture is always his Siberian dog, Siberian husky dog. Beautiful smiling dog. Yeah.
And you reminded me of something I want to bring up too. As we talk about these people, yes, or these sites, a lot of them are paid sites. Full disclosure, we don't get anything from any of these sites. None of these people know we're talking about.
No endorsements. No. Yep.
And the other thing is, personally, I don't subscribe to any of them. If I want to see what's going on with them, I DuckDuckGo them or Google them or whatever, and I'll usually find something where somebody else is talking about them, or clips from their stuff, or whatever's free on their website. I get enough from that. I mean, I have so many interests that to do a deep dive on every single one of these, I would drive myself nuts. It would be 24/7 that you'd have to be. So I just kind of skim and pick and choose.
You're reminding me of something that's also a very important psychologically a part of this, and it's called FOMO, FOMO, fear of missing out. And if you have FOMO, like I sometimes do, not always, but sometimes, if you want to know first, okay, consider, subscriptions to researchers that you trust, because you'll see it first. But like Iris said, give it a couple of days, couple of hours sometimes, and sometimes a couple of weeks. It shows up for free elsewhere on the internet. Absolutely. Yes. Every time. Yeah. So,
okay.
If FOMO is one of your burdens, I gotta know first. I want to know the second it shifts. I want to know. Yeah, you can have that, but you're still going to get the info if you're okay with research.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Gene Decode is a man of many hats and many wisdoms. He has something that's not in here. Is he has died several times and gone out. He talks excessively about that he actually sat with what he perceives the ultimate supreme God to be. And God gave him a bunch of information about, son, this is what I want you to do next. And this is what I need you to understand to get there. And this is what I want you to teach. So he actually speaks from that place, as well as his martial arts background, his military background, his health and naturopathic scientific background. And he also talks about magic and intuition quite a lot as well. He picks apart the Bible and puts it back together again. All right. He doesn't just destroy it. No, he's very respectful. That's not him at all. He actually picks it apart and twists it and justifies it and gives you references and puts it back together. He's actually a very thorough, meticulous person.
All right, we're going to have to move through some of these kind of fast because we're going to run out of time. Stephen Greer is the next one. Dr. Stephen with a V, M. Greer. He is a ufologist. He's a retired physician, founder of the Center for the Study of Extraterrestrial Intelligence, which is CSETI, not plain SETI, but CSETI, and the Disclosure Project. He's got several films out. You can find them like on Amazon and other film aggregators. Unacknowledged is one. Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind, and Sirius is a new one that's out. He does a lot of, he's devised methods of communication, like people get together in groups and go out in a field somewhere and
call ETs.
Yeah.
That's called the CE5 app. You can look it up on your cell phone app. C as in cat, E as in extra. 5, CE5 app on your phone. The latest scoop on Dr. Stephen Greer is in June. He presented to the Congressional Press Club in DC. And he specifically addressed the people who wear dark hats, the shadow government that's apparently there. He addressed them specifically and said, I am going to release all hidden technology that you have withheld from society for hundreds of years, and you have 6 months to do that. And if you don't, I will. So Stephen Greer might pop back up on the public radar about November, December of this year. But that put out a huge ripple and a big scandal. If you don't release, such as free energy, 0-point energy, telepathy technology, teleportation technology, health and wellness and med beds technology, all that stuff. He's saying, if you guys don't release it, I will, which of course puts him in the crosshairs of, Stephen Greer might suddenly disappear in the next 6 months.
And he's had multiple assassination attempts on his life.
He talks about that too. It hurts him because people around him end up getting killed instead.
Yeah.
So a lot of fun living with him.
Yeah.
All right, you're right. Okay, so next on the list,
Dr. Michael Salla, and
another favorite.
He was born in 1958, so he's roughly 64 now. Born in Australia, Melbourne, Australia. And he's an internationally recognized scholar in global politics, conflict resolution, and U.S. foreign policy. He's taught at universities in the U.S. and Australia, including American University in Washington, D.C. He's a pioneer of exopolitics, which is the political study of the key actors, institutions, and processes associated with extraterrestrial life. His interest in exopolitics evolved out of his investigation of the sources of international conflict and its relationship to extraterrestrial presence that is not acknowledged to the general public, elected officials, or even senior military officials. So he kind of piggybacks with Stephen Greer, or they piggyback off each other. Not literally, but there's a lot in common there.
They do, and they have commentary. They have commentary on each other because they both see it a little bit differently, but they do have a lot in common. Exopolitics is the study of political relations with beings that are not from Earth. So just to tell you what that big fancy word exopolitics means, geopolitics is politics on Earth. Just to give you a little bit of vocabulary to know what we're talking about. Salla interviews fascinating people.
Which will be in the information I provide, but it does say it's the political study of the key actors, institutions, and processes. So
yes.
So we'll have that.
He basically does a series of interviews of all these other truthers, and he's got hundreds and hundreds of them. You can actually still find him on YouTube.
Yes.
Yeah, you can still find him. Next person.
Okay, let's go into Simon Parkes. Yes.
He's one of those people that keeps falling into and out of favor over and over.
Yeah. Simon
Parkes. Down, up, down. He's controversial.
British. Yeah, he's British. He his family is former whatever the CIA is in the
MI5 and MI6.
Yeah. In Great Britain. He founded Creating Consciousness. No. What's the name of the thing? CC.
Collective.
Connecting Consciousness.
Connecting Consciousness.org.
The word just went right in my head. Yeah.
Connecting Consciousness. He's the founder of it since like 2016 or so. It's a free membership around the world. And it's very exclusive. And he's very controversial. But he claims to and has substantiated that he is actually in direct contact with the movers and shakers that are even above the 1% that are running the rest of the world. So the people wearing bright colored hats and people wearing dark colored hats have all had meaningful conversations. Let's call it that. Attempts of assassination have been dropped on him and his wife several times. And he is also a proponent of humans having normalized relationships with extraterrestrial people. So, and he's also an authority on exorcism, getting demons and evil energy out of your existence. He's actually an international authority on that as well. And I know that sounds a little bit wackadoodle, but if you listen to him, he's pretty level-headed.
And he's just such a mellow type of guy. And it's funny because, like, in his videos, his cats are wandering in the background, and he has a dog at his feet, and it's like, you know, what are you doing over there? And then, you know, he goes back to what he's saying.
He's very British in his delivery. He used to be a politician himself and did not re-up. He was not taken out of office. He declined because he saw the corruption around him. His mother was, I think, MI5, and his grandfather was MI6. He did not know that till he was an adult himself.
He told one time he got a letter an invitation to join the Illuminati.
Yes. Both, like I said, both sides have been in touch with him. We have theories about how many sides are there actually, but for the interest of keeping simplicity in the conversation for this topic, we'll call it sides, the light and dark, white and black, whatever you want to call it. He's had contact with all kinds of things. The controversy around him is sometimes he has personal opinions about what other people say or do. And the reasons for his choices are not always clear. He is a big proponent of financing what do they call it? Humanitarian causes. And his filters for how to finance those, to the tune of millions and billions of dollars, have controversy about how he filters who gets what in the way of finances. So if you want to know more about that cryptic, what I'm cryptically referring to, go to his website, simonparks.org.
Yeah, and I've got it in the comments.
Yeah, and you can learn more about it. We don't discount him completely, but we do see an up and down based on human behaviors. Yeah. And opinions.
Yeah, and then actually, like, there's some people that don't agree with how he's dispersing money that may be coming out in the near future. But I get it. I mean, so you
got to start somewhere. You got to have filters somewhere, and not everybody's going to like those filters.
Yeah.
What we're referring to is that Simon Parks has claimed to be a major mover and shaker in moving big finance back out into the world so that we are not struggling in poverty, paycheck to paycheck, going through recessions and depressions and energy crunches and food deprivation in third world nations and all this other bullshit, because there's a ton of money, ton of gold, ton of resources, ton of gas, ton of infinite solar energy. Also on a quantum level, there's a ton. That's the still point free point technology that Greer was talking about earlier is also available to the public. All that Simon seems to be at the front of how and when that including finance will be released to the general public, money to the general public, a lot of it. And as you can imagine, that triggers people left and freaking right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's a lot of power. It's a lot of power. Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay. So next, Charlie Ward, who is often collaborating with Simon Parks. And
until recently.
Yeah. And Charlie Ward is charlieward.tv, and he is British, lives in Spain, and he was a big financier with, like, moving money for countries,
countries, major corporations, both pale colored and dark colored energies. He worked for both sides, and eventually he started working for the light side, according to his story.
Yes.
And apparently he is reported that he's actually on that board of the organization of people that are above the 1%. However, of course, he cannot name names or specific details. He's under, what is that called? A DNA? No, not a DNA.
Yeah, DNR.
Deoxyribonucleic acid. No,
Do
that's
not
not right.
resuscitate.
Do not resuscitate.
NDA.
DNR. MDA would tell
NDA.
you. So what does that stand for?
Non-disclosure agreement. Non-disclosure agreement.
Yeah, which are usually military based, and we suspect that he recently disclosed too much because he's been reined in. He suddenly has a speech impediment, first time in 3 years. Kind of weird, and he doesn't explain it. And like he explains every other part of his private life and his health ad nauseum, and this is glossed over. But if you want to learn more, you certainly can. He's got very interesting information. You can for free on the front end of his website, or you can do a membership for $11 a month to participate in his live broadcast twice weekly, Wednesdays and Saturdays. And same as the others, he interviews other truthers, researchers, health professionals, political professionals, science professionals, doctors, nurses, military, veterans, on and on and on. And all the big names eventually talk on Charlie Ward. Just like Michael Salla, all the big names eventually come on his show. Yeah.
Okay. So next we've got some people that are, you might consider them more woo-woo, but they're fascinating.
Basically reporters. Yeah.
Yeah. Mateus De Stefano. I'm not saying his name right. I'm sure. De Stefano. Sorry.
Mateus De Stefano. Yeah.
And he was born in Argentina. And he said from the moment of his birth, he remembered everything he did before this incarnation and could understand how the universe works. He says he has been reincarnated with a specific mission on Earth and to fulfill a mission that he could not complete thousands of years ago. His mission is to help us find our purpose so we can collectively break through to powerful new experiences and build a new world. He has a worldwide following and has organized major events for the awakening of consciousness. He can be found on Facebook and all that, but I'm just giving his main page just so you can kind of take a look at him. A lot of his stuff is in Spanish So, but he's on lots of other people's shows where he's speaking English. You can get translations, etc., etc.
He speaks English extremely well, and you can also see a lot. He has a series of presentations on Gaia.com as well, and he is a wonderful speaker. He very much comes from heart. It's quite pleasant to listen to him, and it gets very inspirational. And the level of detail that he goes into is fascinating, really fascinating. He's a great he's a great speaker, and he's very young, but he's very wise and old too. And he says funny stuff. He makes funny comments. A lot of these guys make funny comments, but he does too. Yeah.
Yeah, can't take yourself too seriously. The next one is Elena Danan, and she was born in France, is a field archaeologist, spent many years working in Egypt and in France. She's a hereditary shaman, has studied pagan spirituality, magic, and alchemy. She was trained and ordained as a druidess and extraterrestrial contactee since childhood. She became an emissary for the Galactic Federation of Worlds. And the Galactic Federation is often referred to, it's sort of like the government for infinity. I guess that's the best way to.
It's the governing body for our galaxy. There's a separate body, there's a federation of planets that's for our solar system. And these groups try to work together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
and she's one of the ambassadors of that. You can learn a lot more about her history. She too is very entertaining. She talks about really interesting tangents about ETs and ET relationships, and she channels, and she says she has an implant that acts like a radio transceiver. It's plasma. It's not a metallic thing. She explains it. Go check it out on her website. She has a French accent, but she speaks English well. Yeah.
She also has a new series coming out on Peacock with Demi Lovato,
Oh,
called Unidentified, which is interesting.
that makes
The
sense.
next, yeah, the next one that I was going to talk about, and I don't. Okay, No, I'm sorry. I take that back. That's Elizabeth April. Elizabeth April is the next one we're going to talk about,
Oh,
but
yeah. Elizabeth April's working with Demi Lovato.
yeah, sorry, I had them
Yeah,
mixed up.
it's okay.
And I had some stuff about
I can tell. I can talk about Elizabeth April. So I can see that
yeah.
you got a little cut and paste there. April Elizabeth is very similar to Alana Dawn
Mhm.
in that she, from childhood, constant contact with spirit guides, ETs. She's a shaman. She's lived in Canada and the United States, um, and she does reports on what she has channeled lately and about progress of humans shifting and what humans need to do next as individuals and as a planet, as a solar system and as a cosmos and so on. She talks about their sticking points. She acts a lot like a life coach and a therapist in her speech and presentation. However, you need to listen to her and see. Well, you don't need to, but if you want to learn more about her, she too speaks from a place of wisdom and heart that is an unusually high vibration. And she too has a free access element, mostly on YouTube, and she has a membership from her website. And she says the difference is on YouTube, she has to limit what she can say because of censorship. On her own website, she will tell you everything, the down, the dirty, the ugly, the beautiful, without censorship, and she speaks more freely. So there's a trade-off there. I don't know what the fee is for hers, but
Okay.
but apparently it comes with a lot of perks too, because she also has a lot of really cool promotional toys. And age-wise, she's like in her mid-20s, late early 30s, somewhere in there. She's right around 25, 30, 30-ish years old. She recently became a mother, first child, and like you said, she's got a lot of cool stuff coming up. She too is a mover and shaker. Has been interviewed by a lot of other presenters. I believe Stephen Greer interviewed her once, and so did George Norrie, Noori. If you don't know who that is, go find out. We should have put
Okay.
his name on here too.
All right.
Um,
Yeah, but we need to move on. So the next one is Megan Rose, and she's a healer, spiritual awakener, author of the book Welcome to the Future. She's originally from Northern Virginia, pursued a career in nursing, and ended up, she soon found she was giving spiritual guidance full time. She works with deeply committed to working with and healing the inner child. And she also details her childhood abductions by malevolent extraterrestrials in her book, Welcome to the Future. So she's another one you might want to look up. And I think let's move into some of the more.
Actually, along that line, somebody who spoke on our show, Tony Rodriguez, same thing. He dealt with child abduction by non-human people in the 20 and Back program for the secret space program. And he speaks and writes about it freely at Tony Rodriguez. I think he's
.com.
yeah,
Yeah, I've
.com.
got him down a little bit further. So,
Yep.
um,
And he also educates people, teaches remote viewing and meditation, and helps other people that realize that they too were part of the 20 and Back program, which there's also a 5 and Back and a 10 and Back, but go find out more on his website.
yeah, and I'll put that up when we get down to him in just a minute. I'm just kind of
Or
going
go
through the
see the
list.
previous episode that we did. He came on our show, what was it, like a month or two ago? You can
Yeah.
actually see him on this podcast as well.
Okay, so the next set is for people that are famous, maybe for other reasons, but have kind of gotten into some of this information field. And the first one is Russell Brand, And I pulled some stuff off his website. He says, "This is my website. I'm a comedian. I'm interested in change. I'm interested in awakening. I feel we can do this together because I have changed so much in my own little life. I'm still a comedian and I still do live shows weekdays over on Rumble. You can join his email list. He says he calls it an elite cabal to make it more sexy. And he does 3 podcasts and says give them a listen. So it's kind of interesting to see how he has surfaced on this truther mission. I mean,
yeah, he's an actor, a voice actor, and a comedian, writer, producer, Hollywood, who has cleaned up his act and gone straight, sort of like a Mel Gibson kind of person. Got out from under the Hollywood scam stuff, to put it mildly. Russell Brand is very popular. Check that one out, and a lot of free stuff, a lot of free access with him too.
Yeah. Next one is Danica Patrick, of all people, the former race car driver.
NASCAR. Yeah.
And she has a podcast called Pretty Intense Podcast. And she has a lot of interesting people.
Interviews.
Yeah, a lot of interviews and things. So
she asks really good questions that you're thinking in the back of your head. She just comes right out and asks it, makes them answer. And they love it. She's very good at what she does.
Another one that I enjoy is JP Sears. You might have seen him. He's a redheaded guy, very muscular,
bodybuilder.
But he's a YouTuber, comedian, author, speaker, and a curious student of life. His work takes an unapologetic stand for freedom, free speech, and encouraging people to live free from fear. He does a lot of satire. His content has served over 4 million followers and acquired 600 million views. He loves spending time at home with his family in the great state of Texas.
I've seen him on television as well. He is very funny and extremely intelligent. Have a listen. Ton of free content on his website and on YouTube. Check it out. Yes. And probably on Rumble by now.
We also wanted to highlight some people that we've met, and that are very popular. Tony Rodriguez being one of those. He is co-creator of Talks with Tony, which is a Patreon group, and has focused on disclosure and consciousness expansion. So, like we said earlier, check him out. Another one is Jessica Jones. She's the Cryptid Huntress. And she's a paranormal investigator, remote viewer based in Northwest Georgia, active field researcher, and a member of Enigma Research Group. They do a lot of cryptid hunting, not as in shooting, but as in investigating. Another one that has experienced abductions and is a truther is James Rink. And
highly respected in his field. Highly respected.
SuperSoldierTalk.com is his website. Then we also went to the Journey to Truth podcast convention. And they have a lot of different people on there and a lot of good information going through their podcast. So check them out.
Series of interviews with hard-hitting questions. Yep, check them out, please.
Mm-hmm. And then on our own show, we've hosted the Weather Shaman, and Katie Costa. She is fascinating and gentle. I love her meditations and things like that. She's just such a great person. So check out her information.
Another broadly intelligent person who also comes profoundly from heart. Yeah.
And then Earth Star Spiritual Center with Dale and Jeannie. They often are either guests on our show, or Dale is a guest on our show, and they often watch our program. And they do a lot of spiritual work, meditations, different modalities. Yeah. So
moving the world forward, humanitarian projects. They are a humanitarian project, multiple spiritualities. wonderful shamanic teachers and leaders.
Yes.
Profoundly wise and talented people.
Yes. And then we want to mention there's a couple of people, one of them being Corey Good, and he's identified as a secret space program whistleblower, contactee. He
Like Tony Rodriguez.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he's disclosed a lot of information, been on a lot of shows and that sort of thing. He got into writing a book and creating almost like a book that is what do you call it? They're not comic books, but they're
illustrated novels.
Yeah,
something like that. Artistic novels, stuff like that.
Yeah. And so he kind of got off track for a little while. He's sort of coming back. There were some people that were questioning some things, whether he had been quote unquote compromised or not. But I find his information fascinating. It's just take it with a grain of salt and do some investigating.
Take what clicks for you and leave the rest behind. You know, you brought up a good word, the word compromised. A lot of the speakers we're talking about, there is whisperings of some of them being compromised and some of or not, such as Charlie Ward has been pointed at as possibly being compromised. Corey Good obviously is another one that may have been compromised. Simon Parks may or may not, I don't think he has, but been compromised. In other words, did the bad guys get back in and grab them and twist what they're changing, cloning, whatever? And it's a subtle thing. It's very, very subtle. So that you're going to hear about that, people being compromised. That means, Elon Musk is the one that people think are compromised. Donald Trump is another one that they think might be compromised. And we don't know.
And here's the other thing that comes with that. When you hear that, these people have been compromised, are the bad guys saying that to
discredit what they're saying?
Yeah, to discredit what they're saying and get their followers to disbelieve them. So it's a whole political game that you just have to kind of go with your gut.
Yeah, you got to use your intuition about what vibrates as truth for you. And as you do this research, that actually gets easier. All right. But you have to go down those roads to make it easier. Yeah. And then the last one,
David Wilcock. When I first started watching him, he'd get on there and he'd go, okay, I've got some information from y'all. And then he would talk for 3 or 4 hours. And it was mesmerizing. You would just the fascinating reveals and information.
Insider info. Yeah.
Yeah. But then he kind of went off the rails a little bit, and then he disappeared for a while. He was supposedly
he's constantly being stalked and targeted, and they were trying to kill him almost every day.
And what's interesting is he actually says his upcoming Hollywood film Convergence unveils the proof that all life on Earth is united in a field of consciousness, which affects our minds in fascinating ways. But yet he'd be the first one to tell you that Hollywood is corrupt. So why is he promoting his Hollywood film? Just kind of makes you go,
makes you wonder why he doesn't use the word entanglement, because that's exactly what you just described as quantum entanglement. But anyway, which was established hundreds of years ago in science, but not brought to the public. But you'll find out.
But he's written a number of books. Has a lot.
He contradicts himself. Mm-hmm. He's good about self-growth, really good information about self-growth, self-awareness, consciousness, and living that way. Yeah. He finances other endeavors such as hover cars. He's trying to help make that a reality in the next 1 to 3 years, depending on how it's going. Really interesting guy. He's also supposed to be the reincarnation of Edgar Casey.
Yeah,
actually supposed to be which is really interesting too. Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, so that's just a quick rundown of some of the people that are out
The top
there.
ones. Yeah.
Yeah, that we thought y'all might enjoy following up, doing some of your own exploration and that sort of thing. So as we've gone, I've put the links in the comments, but I will post the whole list in total under the descriptions for this show and on my website. So hopefully that'll help people. Yeah,
Thank you for
so
doing that. Thank you for
yeah.
doing that. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. So next week, what have we got going? Wow. Next week, we're going to do our monthly psychic readings. And
Woo.
so join us, bring your questions, and we'll do short readings. And then on August 23rd, we're going to talk about clones. We just mentioned cloning a minute ago. So we're going to talk about that. And
Expound
then
on
August
that.
yeah. And then August 30th, the meaning of holding space. We hold space for each other, we hold space for others, but what exactly is that and how do you do it? And
It's a very
uh
sacred process. It's really
yes.
nice. It's good to know what to do.
So
Yeah.
yeah. So thank y'all for joining us. And hopefully this has been helpful and informative.
Oh, it has. It has.
Yeah.
Feel free to like and share this show and the information with your friends that are interested. And baby steps, 10% at a time. Don't tell everything you know all at once. You'll scare the crap out of them. All right. You just got your 20% just now with
Yeah.
today's show. So go easy. Cognitive dissonance, take your time. We love you
Yeah.
guys.
Good night.
Thank you for joining the Eyes of Indigo with Iris Carter and Margot Ross Sears. Remember to like, subscribe, and share this podcast. Music is Arcadia by Kevin MacLeod. Find us at facebook.com/Eyes of Indigo, on YouTube under @Iris Carter Enterprises, and on various podcast aggregators. Copyright 2023 by Iris Carter and